Alright, part 2 of this tutorial set has to do with using levels of headings. I will also, of course, embed a whole lot of other APA style stuff. In this video, I'll show you how to fix the sections of the unedited paper that start on the bottom of page 3 and continue on through page 4 and the start of page 5. Alright. So, first thing, indents. Remember this ruler up here. These are measured in inches to make your paragraph indent, which by the way, I think I mistakenly called a hanging indent in the last video, but I don't really want to record it again for the 4th time, I think. So, there you go. There's my correction. That's called a paragraph indent. Hanging indents are what you use in reference sections. Okay, so I fixed the indent, you can see, just by moving that top triangle ½ inch over. The benefit of that is that if I were to come down here and hit return at the end of the paragraph, it knows to start a new paragraph with the same formatting. So it'll start it with that indent in place. Alright, I'm going to hit Control Z because that undoes what I just did that I didn't want. Alright, so I'm going to start and I'm just going to read through this. One of the big changes in the 6th edition of APA Style is how headings are treated. So far, so good. In this section, I will not only make grammatical and style errors in the paragraph, and a little warning bell's going off in my head, ding, 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 ding. If you see the words not only, to maintain the structure, you need to follow it by but also. And if you're interested, I found a site that deals with that. But it's kind of just picky stuff. Alright, so but also is important, and then there was an error there because I used a contraction, so I'm going to replace that with I will demonstrate how to use the first 5, or sorry, how to use the 5 levels of heading. The bold-faced heading above this paragraph is called a level 1 heading. This is actually not an error. It's appropriate to use italices to set off new vocabulary rather than using a quote. Because I never actually use level 1 and then I'm not quoting the fact that I used the word level 1. Okay, notice it is centered, bold-faced, and uses upper and lowercase letters. Then the paragraph begins on the next line, indented. Within this paragraph, I've made 3 errors. Did I get them all? Let's see. First was the indent. Second was the not only but also. And the third was the, contraction, I will. Okay. So, hopefully you got those. Moving on. Now, this happens often in Word, especially when you're adding to a document that you've already started and you're just going back in and fixing sections. Oftentimes what happens is our headings get separated from what they're heading. So to fix this, we use something called the Keep with Next feature. And so you'll notice that I'm on the line of my level 2 heading that has separated itself from the rest of its paragraph. And I'm going to open up the paragraph dialog box. There's probably another way to do this, but this is the way I know. So I've opened up the paragraph dialog box, and in the line and page breaks tab, I'm going to keep with next. And that will make it so that no matter what I do in editing, wherever this level 2 heading ends up, it will always stay with its next paragraph. Okay. Let's see. Next thing. This word 2, I'm pretty sure about this, but I'm not 100% positive, to be honest with you, about using numbers and headings. So I'd probably look it up again if I were trying to submit for a proposal. But in general, if you can count the number in whole numbers, saying things like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it represents the number of objects, then you're able to use a numeral to express it. We'll do a whole nother section just on numerals, but for right now, that'll be enough. We'll just leave it as the number 2, because there really are a ton of rules. Alright, level 2 headings are flush left, bold-faced, and used upper and lowercase lettering. Then the next paragraph starts indented on the next line. Curious about the previous paragraph's errors? Oops, there is an error. See that little green squiggle? It says something's wrong. And if you right-click it, or control-click on a Mac, it says there's something wrong with the grammar, and it tells you that it's a fragment, usually meaning you've forgotten a subject. So I'm going to change it. Are you curious about the previous paragraph's errors? And notice the little green squiggly goes away. Alright, now as I explain those errors in writing, I notice the first one is that colon. That colon does not need to be there. It only precedes a seriated list if the preceding sentence or part of the sentence could stand alone as its own sentence. So I took that colon out. To maintain parallel structure, certain word pairs always occur together. E.g. E.g. stands for exemplia gratia in Latin, which roughly translates to for example. Because I'm citing a specific case in this previous paragraph, it's actually more appropriate for me to use I.E, which translates to that is. Because I'm specifically pointing out the e.g. in the previous, or did I? I'm getting confused. Oh, that's right. I am confused because I'm fixing the paragraph and I'm talking about it in the next paragraph, and yeah, I'm going to try and recover here. So, and not only must be followed by but also. That's all for a parallel construction. There's a whole list of them, and if you're interested, you can see the APA blog for that list. The next thing I want you to notice is that see that this first list item has an internal comma. That makes it necessary to separate your seriation with a semicolon. And not just between the one that contained the internal comma, but all of them. So that means I need to change this guy here to a semicolon as well. Some people leave that comma out, and that's not correct in APA style. The Oxford comma is in place. You include a comma before the items of 3 or more in a series, even preceding the word and. And then the last thing here is that silly willy rule about zeros. Zeros need to appear as a leading zero when you're writing decimals if that number had the potential to be greater than 1. You'll work with something called p-values or significance values or correlation values. These are things that can't go above 1. So in those cases, it's all right to omit those zeros. All right, next paragraph. This is a level 3 heading. It's probably the strangest looking thing other than maybe double spacing text and tables that you run into in APA 6th edition. Not only is the heading indented, but also this indent is followed by a sentence case heading. Notice there's no capitals on the middle words, unless they were proper nouns, of course. Ends with a period, even if it's not a sentence, so you're going to get that green squiggle a lot of times. And then your actual paragraph starts immediately after that period in normal text. So strange, but it's right. Okay, I'm scanning. Ooh, looks like I've got another wrong Latin abbreviation. Then the paragraph begins immediately after the period. That is in line. Notice it's I.E. comma. So this dot comma people often miss as well. Okay, moving on. While the author, silly. No third person. I know we were taught, a lot of us anyway, we're taught to use third person to make our writing sound more professional or unbiased. That has changed, believe it or not. APA prefers first person when appropriate because it can cause confusion in who you're actually talking about. Because what if I had in this previous sentence cited another author, and then I go on in the next sentence to say the author, when I really mean myself? So instead of saying while the author keeps making mistakes, I'm going to say while I keep making mistakes in this paragraph. Oh, there's a contraction. Let us reveal the errors from the last paragraph immediately after the level 2 heading. First, there should not be a colon before the seriated list of the preceding cause cannot stand alone as a sentence. Yay, I caught that one. Uh-oh, error. If you start off a set of series where you're talking first and then you mean to go second, third, fourth, fifth, you really need to keep that. You're not going to switch between like first and then secondly. It's first, second, third. Okay, so there's your fixes for that. A semicolon should be used to separate all the list items because the first item contains internal commas. Good, we caught that. Third, and there's one of those, whoops, inappropriately superscripted automatic thingies. Third, the third sentence is a fragment. That is, there is no subject. And that's an appropriate APA. That was my phone, sorry. Fourth, the Latin abbreviation used in parentheses for the first item does not match the context. The abbreviation e.g. comma translates as for example and is not suited because blah 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 blah. For complete lists is available. For a complete list of Latin abbreviations and their meanings, search Latin abbreviations on the APA blog. And we'll get a citation for that here in one of the other tutorial models. Fifth level heading. Heading appears on a different page from, this one drives me kind of crazy, I'm not going to lie. All right. I know it's usually seen as a possessive comma. So a lot of times you end up being right by using an apostrophe S for possessive. It's an exception with its. IT apostrophe S is the contraction it is. So watch out for that. Its possessive is just ITS. I've seen all kinds of things. I've even seen people do that. Don't do that. That doesn't exist. Alright. To prevent this, you can use the keep with next feature in Word, which I did show you in this video. And then the rule about zeros. Oh yes, and I made a mistake here on purpose. I put the punctuation inside the quotation mark when it should occur outside the quotation mark. And we'll again go over in-text citations in another one of these tutorials. Okay, and blah 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 blah. At least 6. I have no idea how many I actually got to. Alright, this ends the part 2 of the APA tutorial. Thanks.